Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have you ever been in a banquet or a Jummah khutbah or at Tarawih and the fundraising starts? And in that moment, you have this sort of shock through your body like, oh no. That happened to me one time when I was in a Jummah khutbah in Dallas, Texas. In the second khutbah, the khatib stands up and he says, I'm not starting salah until we raise $50,000. I sat there and I looked around and I'm like, this is a hostage situation because I'm here to pray and I can't get up and leave until he starts prayer. And he's saying he's not going to start prayer until he raises $50,000. And as an entrepreneur, my brain starts to see problems and solutions. I starts to ask millions of questions. I'm looking around and I'm seeing people who have to go back to work or they're going to lose their job. They've taken off time to go pray. And as I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking something's wrong with Muslim nonprofits if the only way we can generate revenue is by holding people hostage. That question I became obsessed with. That question kept me up at night. That question landed me to meet Dr. Shadiq Siddiqui, the professor of Muslim philanthropy. And when I met him and I had a chance to meet him at a restaurant, I asked him, I'm like, is this how Muslim nonprofits, the business of doing good works? That they have to actually hold people hostage to raise money for their masjid, for their Islamic school, for their relief organization? Is that how we're going to get good done? That's crazy. And he went on to say, turns out 95% of nonprofits experience failure and will never fulfill their mission. And that broke my heart. If the only people in the world who are trying to make it better, 95% of them will never get there, then what are we left with to rely on? Governments? Well, we see what's happening. Right? Businesses and corporations, they have to maximize profit to keep shareholders happy. There's no hope. So at that point, I said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a solution. I became obsessed with that problem. And that problem led me through a research study, led me to a doctorate study. On the other side of that, what I found is turns out there are four strategies that those other 5% that are succeeding are doing different that the 95% aren't. And if we can get the other 95% to do these four things, then we change the odds. We change the odds. And that's a good thing because that's how we can make the world better. And so in the next few moments, in the next 4 segments, we're going to break down these 4 things and we're going to make it available to all of you. And I really hope that if you can find a way in your nonprofit, if you're on a board, if you're a CEO, if you're an executive director, if you're a development director, if you're a programs director, if you're a bunch of volunteers meeting on a Sunday night, Saturday afternoon, Friday at the masjid, whatever, if you can hang on to one of these 4 things and build like scaffolding all 4 in your organization, you make the leap from the 95% failure club to the 5% success club. And let me be very clear. When I say success, I don't mean billions of dollars in the bank and shareholders rich. That's what the guys on Wall Street think. I mean, billions and millions of people having a better life. I'm thinking about the world being a better place, cleaner air, cleaner water. I'm thinking about safer place to pray, kids growing up, comfortable in their skin with their identity, and everyone having a safer place to live in the world. I'm sure you can't wait to find out what the 4 key strategies are that the 5% success, Mission Success Club is doing. Let me outline them for you and then we'll break them down. Number 1, they stack their board and their leadership with business-minded, entrepreneurial, spirited individuals. Number 2, they focus on solving mission market fit. Number 3, they dig in on good money. Number 4, they install agile governance systems. These 4 things are what the 5% Mission Success Club is doing that the 95% Mission Failure Club isn't doing. Now let's break down number 1. Number 1, the successful mission organizations, they stack their board and they stack their leadership team with business-minded, entrepreneurial, spirited people. What we found is most of the time when there's someone who sees a problem in the world and they want to go fix it, they get their friends together and they also look for experts that are what I would call engineers. Engineers are these people who know how to build things. They know how to solve problems. For example, my wife's a teacher. She's excellent at educating a child. If you gave her a child, she could go through her playbook. She could assess the child's skill set. She could find out where the gaps are. She could create a playbook. She can coach the parents. She can coach the other teachers. She can identify where the gaps with the kids that are around this child. That's an engineer. My wife's an engineer on how to educate and help a child become successful. Now, what most nonprofits do that's wrong is everybody on their board and everybody in their organization, they're engineers. They know how to fix the problem. They know how to solve the water problem. They know how to solve the food problem. They know how to solve the education problem. But what they don't know how to do and they lack is building a business. And most of the time, engineers are often, they have a low risk tolerance level. And when you're building a business, which is a nonprofit, is you got to have people who have not only risk tolerance, but they know what risks to take. And that's where the entrepreneurial spirited people come in. And I nuanced the word business leaders with entrepreneurial spirited leaders because there's a difference between people who are purely business, financial analysts that put spreadsheets together and they have risk mitigation plans down a 36-month forecast. You can't build a business like that. You can grow one, you can maintain one, but when you're building an organization, when you're building a business, you need entrepreneurial, spirited people who know how to build a business. So the number one thing that this mission success organizations are doing to get out of startup, and let me nuance that. Startup basically means a set of, a certain environment that's got you stuck on the ceiling. You can't get past this glass ceiling. And so what they do is they stack their board with entrepreneurial, business-minded, spirited people who know how to grow the organization that have a certain risk tolerance level greater than anybody else. And they have people in the organization who know how to build an HR department from scratch, who know how to build a marketing department from scratch, a donor development department from scratch, who know how to go out there and get diversified revenue streams. And they have risk tolerance levels to do that. They're able to iterate and explore and experiment. That's number one. If you want to take your organization from being stuck in startup for many years to actually succeeding at your mission. The number two, the second piece to succeeding with your mission is solving for mission market fit. Now, in our study, we use entrepreneurial value creation theory. And entrepreneurial value creation theory basically says the organization goes through 2 phases. There's the formalization phase, and then there's the monetization phase. Let me break this down, easy for all of us. When you start an organization and you talk to founders, they often say, yeah, you know what? I had a job. Yeah, I was in college. I was doing this career thing. And then we just met on the evenings. We met on the weekends. We met in basements. We met in garages, and we were working together on whatever, solving this water problem, food problem, whatever it was. And that is technically a volunteer association. A bunch of volunteers get together to work. Now, you can take a volunteer association and you can go register it and collect money and give out tax-exempt receipts. But that doesn't mean you're a nonprofit business. You're a nonprofit volunteer association. And most organizations are stuck as volunteer nonprofit. Volunteer associations registered with a nonprofit tax-exempt certificate with the IRS. Now, what they need to do next is actually say, you know what? Let's go get some money. And most organizations in that early stage, they raise money enough from their friends and family. One of the guys we researched, we interviewed in our study, he said, Tayyab, when you start an organization, when you start your project, whatever it is, he goes, no mission, no money. Meaning if you don't get the work going, no one's going to donate to you. But then you only get so far, you get stuck. And he goes, after that, you have to pivot to no money, no mission. So in the formalization stage, that's where you're formalizing your mission work. What is it that we're going to solve? You get it started. You start off with your friends and family, and everyone donates to you and supports you, largely not because they entirely believe you're going to succeed or that what you're doing is amazing. A lot of that has to do with you. And that's why you see organizations getting funding only as far as the founder, only as far as the founding board, only as far as the founding staff and volunteers. Those organizations are stuck in that sort of early stage formalization situation. And they can't move to monetization. They can't move beyond that. And the way you do that is by solving for mission market fit. Mission market fit is where you're saying, okay, what are the markets beyond the founders network, the founding funders network, the staff's network, that's going to care about this mission enough to donate to it in the absence of social relationships? I have to pause for a second and process that, because almost every organization we looked at, almost every organization I personally worked with, they're stuck in, they give because I ask. My friends donate. And that's great. That's a good thing. But that's in the formalization stage. And they're largely giving because it's you. And there's other consequences, which is founder syndrome. And these organizations get stuck and dependent upon these founders. And oftentimes when the founders pass away or move on, the organizations fail. So to go beyond that, you have to solve for mission market fit, which is where are the markets that are actually going to believe in this mission, believe in this organization enough to support it in the absence of social equity that we have to leverage to get donations. And that happens through an iterative process. And there's tactics and strategies involved there in sort of understanding the different markets, how to reach them, what's the value proposition, and how do you message that? The simple recipe is you got to go out there and get a smart marketer. Marketing is different than advertising. Marketing is different than social media. I walk into these boards and they say, Brother Tayyab, we really need a marketing person. I'm like, cool. What do you want them to do? Well, we need them to send our emails. We need them to post our social media. I'm like, brother, that's not marketing. That's communications. That's not marketing. Marketing is understanding your mission and thinking and solving for where are the markets that are going to fund this mission, and then deploying communication tactics to test the product in those markets, and then digging in deep, betting bigger, going bigger on communication campaigns on the markets that we think are going to support our mission bigger. That's marketing. That's solving for mission market fit. And if you do that, and you do that really, really well, you'll find the markets beyond the founder, beyond the founding board, beyond the founding staff, beyond the founding volunteers that want to support your mission, and really, really continue to do that. Number 3, good money. What I discovered in the nonprofit world, I never knew this existed in the for-profit world. In the for-profit world, money's money. All right, somebody wants our product, great. They're going to pay for it, great. Here you go. In the nonprofit world, bad money is a thing. It's a thing. Bad money is money that pulls you off your mission. It steers you off your mission. It causes the board and the staff and the executive director to do things that aren't on mission. So good money is the next step. And remember what I said is the first step is you bring in the team. And oftentimes in my classrooms, I talk about, the 96, 97 Chicago Bulls or the 92 Chicago Bulls. Like if I'm building a business or I'm investing in a business, first thing I want to do is stack my team. I want the 92, 93 Chicago Bulls in my business or in my nonprofit. Everyone's got a role to play. They know how to build this organization and take it to a championship. That's number 1. Number 2, we talked about mission market fit. That's really where you're solving for where are the markets beyond us that are going to care to support this organization, and they don't even know me. Why would they support a complete stranger or a stranger organization? Those markets exist. Once you find those markets, next is number 3, dig into good money, build good money. That means now it's donor development. That means it's educating those markets on the mission, building a strategic plan, getting them bought into your strategic direction, and really having them want to support it and be part of that mission. And at the same time, having the courage and the systems to say no, saying no to bad money. The donor who says, hey, I love your Islamic school, but I'll pay for a gym. And the gym's not in your strategic plan. Maybe a tennis court is. Maybe a cafeteria is. Maybe a science lab is. Maybe increasing students' teacher salaries is in the strategic roadmap. And being able to say, you know what? We love that you want to support a gym. It's in our 5-year strategic plan. Today, we really need to increase our student teachers because our salaries for our teachers because we're losing the talent to educate our kids. So that's good money systems. Good money systems is being able to bring the right money into the organization to further the mission, is being able to dig in on those markets that really want to support it. And then finally, agile governance. I write an organization that lacks governance is at the subjective use and potential abuse of power. Let me say that again. An organization that lacks sufficient governance is at the subjective use and potential abuse of power. Meaning, in a for-profit organization, you have a clean line of command and you have a clean purpose: make the shareholders wealthy, period. Apple exists, shareholders wealthy. Microsoft exists, shareholders wealthy. Everything they do is about making shareholders wealthy, maximizing shareholder value. In a nonprofit, you don't have a clear line of command. So silos of power can emerge either in donor silos, board silos, staff silos, and those silos of power can exist for many reasons, whether it's employees who are pursuing self-preservation, or board members and founders, or this respect power that I see in the Muslim community so much, that there's some elderly brother or sister, and we love them and we respect them so much that we ignore the consequences, even if it's them just moving out of the way and bringing better talent, to them making decisions in a paradigm that's 20 years old, for example. You know, we don't know how to move beyond or around that. And so these silos of power emerge, and that's where the subjective use and potential abuse of power comes from. Because if we don't have governance that says all decisions are going to be made according to strategic plan, then what happens? All decisions are made governed by someone who's the loudest, has the most money, been there the longest, everyone respects the most, or everyone fears to disappoint. The organization becomes subject to the use and potential abuse of power. You see, building a business, running an organization involves 1,000 decisions a day. And if you don't have governance that's going to help people make high quality or higher quality decisions, the organization steers off the path. And so an agile governance system is just that. Not 50-page documents with policies and procedures that consultants put together that sit on a Google Drive or a Microsoft Drive and no one has access to. That's not agile governance. That's governance, but it's not agile. Agile, let me qualify that. It means it's information that's going to help make decisions, and it's available to the people making decisions at the time, at the place where they are making decisions. And so that's agile governance systems. These are the 4 things. Stack your organization with the 96 Chicago Bulls. From your board to your executive director to your development director, you want people who know how to build a business. Put your engineers in engineering. Nothing wrong with that. That's part of, being the 96 Chicago Bulls, where you have a 3-point shooter on the 3-point line. You have Paxson on the 3-point line. You have Cartwright in the center. That's how you build your team. You don't put Paxson in the center. You don't put your engineers, give them the ball to go dunk, and they don't know how to dunk. That's building your team. Build your business, set your organization up so your team is stacked with the right people with the entrepreneurial spirit. Number 2 is solve for mission market fit. solve for mission market fit. We'll do another show on digging into these things and the how-tos for it, but solve for mission market fit. Number 3 is dig in on good money. Once you've found those markets, dig in on good money, good donor development systems, foundation development systems, sponsorship, third-party business relationships, or government institutional funding, whatever it is, dig in on it for good money. And avoid and have systems that help you avoid bad money. And number 4, agile governance systems. If you do those 4 things, you can move from being in the 95% mission failure club to the 5% mission success club. Stay tuned. We will have follow-up shows where we talk about how to do this. We will interview people on how they're doing it to help you move over and make the world a better place. Thank you.